Welcome to our Star Trek Picard after show. I'm Christian Blatt. Right over there, Nikki Bailey. Hi, Nikki. How are you doing?
I'm good, Christian. How are you?
I'm good. Apart from the area where I just finished the episode like 10 minutes ago, so it's all still fresh,
Me
and
too.
I still feel the pain. It's like fresh wounds, you know. I haven't had a chance to heal, but I like to think of this as a healing session. That's where we tend to go.
Let's therapize our way through this episode.
Yeah, let's talk to Dr. Baltar about this. AKA Picard's dad. I want to start with the positive because I am so negative about this show, and this show deserves it. I thought there were two very good scenes in this episode. One that I think was great. I think it was really well written. The scene with Q and young Guinan. I found Q's dialogue to be the most Q-like he's been in this series, and I thought John Delancey really brought it. And if they didn't write him a good monologue, he wouldn't have been able to bring anything. So, in the course of 8 episodes, we've had one really good scene and a pretty good one that I'll talk about in a moment. But I finally like tell this idea of Q exploring his own mortality and I guess also his morality at the same time. Did you find that scene to be enjoyable, Nikki, or are you just so done with this show that they can't win you over at any point now?
I don't know that I'm so done, but I do believe that I don't think that I didn't have the reaction to that scene that you did. I just kind of felt like let's just keep going. I'm not I want to say that I don't hate the season, but I also have to say that I'm not really finding a lot to like.
Yeah,
So there's a distinction there. I'm not sure if it's clear, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, someone who is often described as I don't want to hate him, but I'm having trouble finding something to like. The one and only Mr. Tom Kelly from a very beautiful hotel in the San Fernando Valley here in Los Angeles.
From
Uh,
sunny Los Angeles.
yeah. So we were talking, Tom, about a scene that I enjoyed, and surprisingly, a scene in this series, but also in this episode that I thought was well done. I think this my bar is so low, and I've said on this show I hate this show, and I always clarify, not the show that we do. Show we do is good. It's therapy. I feel like it's part of the healing process. We're only going to be able to begin to heal from Picard if we talk about what it's done to us, you know. And I personally, I thought that the scene with Q and Guinan was one of the best in the series. Now that bar is very low. There has not been a lot to pick from. It would be very difficult to do a greatest hits compilation of the 10 best scenes from this series or this season or series. But I thought Q was the most Q-like, and it was interesting to me. This idea that it's not wrong that he's dying. He's trying to put a spin on it, but he's had to come to grips with it. So I feel like I'm in danger of being outvoted because I gave it a thumbs up. Nikki didn't really give it a thumbs up, but it was like pretty much a thumbs down. Did you find even that scene rewarding, Tom, or has Star Trek Picard just left this taste in your mouth that doesn't go away for 53 minutes?
I don't think I would have watched this week's episode if I did not have the Blackcast as a social obligation. So my thanks to you, Nikki, and the millions of fans for giving me an excuse to watch something I hate. But I thought that scene was actually, God, not to be politically correct, but you look at old John Delancey playing a million-year-old Q. And then you look at young Guinan and you say, well, why couldn't Whoopi Goldberg have played this scene out then?
You know,
Why old? And again, not to knock, again, Some of my best friends are white, America, but why is the old white guy allowed to play his role, but the older black lady not playing her role? Now
Well,
maybe Whoopi didn't want it, blah blah blah.
yeah, well, and full disclosure, Tom worked with Whoopi for a long time, so you're standing up for your friend here.
But it's not even my
But no,
friend. But I don't
I
want
agree, I want to say that this is the earlier episodes. I didn't think that. This is the episode where I'm like, yeah, why is Whoopi not here? Have you
Yeah.
thought that at any point, Nikki? For me, it really was this episode where I was like, yeah, why did they even go with young Guinan in the first place? Whoopi would have done fine with all of these scenes, I think. Right?
I thought that conversation would have been more powerful had it been Whoopi's Guinan.
Yeah.
Because the young Guinan doesn't have. She's
The
great.
wisdom.
I love her, but she doesn't have the wisdom that our usual Guinan has. And so I think that's probably where the missing pieces that we needed, that leadership, that guidance from Whoopi Guinan to match the energy of John Delancey's old ass Q.
Match the energy is a great phrase. Now listen, I have a few crucial things that I missed for a show that really seemed to have writers that read the Star Trek encyclopedia. I actually have a theory about how Star Trek Picard was created. They actually had a focus group. Now, the show's writers have probably never, ever, they took a lot of bad soap opera writers and had them watch a focus group of Star Trek fans who go to conventions a lot. And what they did was they actually took they took one idea from 1,000 idiots, like 1,000 different ways. I want to see Seven of Nine, but I want to see Seven of Nine have emotions. Fine. Okay, fine. I want to see Picard, but I want to see Picard, and I want to learn more about his mother. Okay, fine. Sure, we'll do that too. Let me write it down. And we want Guinan, because everybody loves Picard and Guinan. Okay, we'll write that down. And somewhere along the line, one of these soap opera writers who have never seen an episode of Star Trek missed the one line in Star Trek, in the Star Trek encyclopedia, that said the episode Time's Arrow existed. And I think the whole relationship would have been more rich if Guinan were a younger version of the
Uh-oh. That seems like hotel Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's such a crucial moment too.
I know he was.
I was sitting on the edge of my seat.
I know,
like,
and I thought that Tom was pausing. That was a dramatic pause, but it is a point that we've brought up on this show. This idea that the Time's Arrow episode seems to have been forgotten about, and I did tweet at showrunner Terry Metalis about that, and have not heard back. He tweets back at a lot of people, but apparently he didn't have an answer for what I said. But I think that the point is a good one, sort of what we're talking about. I thought it was a good scene with this younger Guinan, but it's like it would have been great. It would have been kind of like all time. You could remember it for years to come if it had been Whoopi in that scene.
Yeah.
And I suspect there's probably, behind the scenes reasons that maybe Whoopi only wanted to do an episode's worth of shooting, and then they came up with this idea of the younger one. We don't know that. We just have to accept the fact that we only have the younger guy, and then we have to accept the fact that Tom didn't pay for the advanced internet package at the hotel.
Not offered at this hotel, one, and two.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the irony of being geographically close to you and having the worst connection out of my 10 appearances on your show.
Yeah, it's funny. I spent yesterday afternoon figuring out a program where we could have two microphones plugged into my laptop, and we were going to do the show upstairs. But Tom's here to work. He's not just here for us. So work took precedence. I want to talk about sort of a lighthearted moment that for me in the show. Nikki, I've been pretty upfront on my feelings about Raffi. You feel like that's fair?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, Raffi made me root for the Borg Queen because I was like, yes, do it. And I know our friend Flobo would have been upset if that had happened. So look, I'm on the Borg Queen side. Honestly, if there was an option where she could assimilate the entire world at the end of the 7th episode, and that meant the series would be over, I'd be like, that's fine. I want that season 3, but you know what? If it means that we can just cut our losses on season 2 and just jump right ahead to it and put it in an alternate timeline. They gave the Borg Queen this thing that never existed before, and I think we talked about it at the beginning of this season. This idea that she can see multiple timelines and how things can happen. And when I watch this show, I also feel like the Borg Queen because I can see setups to storylines or middles of storylines, and I'm like, oh boy, they kind of had something where it might have worked, but they just chose the way, they kind of like it's like anybody's ever seen a writer's room, they have all the little note cards up, for things that they want to do. And I like to think of it as more like magnet poetry. And I think that they just kept throwing them on the refrigerator and all the magnets got all bunched together, just sort of what Tom said. And then it's like, yeah, let's just go film that. Because there's elements that this show's not going to be great, but there are things in even this episode where I'm like, this could have been good. But this episode would have been better if it was just Rios playing with the replicator making cake for the whole show. I think it might have been more satisfying to me. What were you going to say, Tom?
No, I stand by a joke I made on the show a couple of weeks ago, which is Star Trek MacGuffin. That every alien suddenly has a power that suits the plot. Oh my God, we don't want Q to be snapping all the time. We'll take that away. Oh, we need somebody to get a mental message into the scene with Picard and the FBI guy. Oh, well, now Illyrians are telepathic. It's just not at this point, man. It's somebody. This was done to keep Paramount Plus from going the way of CNN Plus. Yes, first CNN Plus reference made here on the Blackcast.
You did get the first CNN Plus in there, and and of course. My joke was that I can't even call CNN Plus the Chevy Chase show of apps because the Chevy Chase show lasted 6 weeks. But in any case,
much higher. Rated much higher.
That's true. A lot more eyeballs on that. I think that to your point, I was thinking about that during the episode. The Borg Queen is strong, just strong enough to make it so that Raffi and Seven can't follow her. But she didn't kill them. So it's like Girardi has just enough of a grip that we can advance the story along so she can go hang out with Adam Soong. I thought that they gave Corey a sort of a nice confrontation with Adam Soong, the character of Adam Soong being just increasingly harder and harder to watch. Nikki, that when he tried to kill Picard with a Prius,
with a car,
that was really the end of it for me. But I thought that so it's like in this development of the Corey character, I'm like, there's probably something here, but in this show, it's just like, I wish I were her. I would have loved to just march right out that door and never looked back on anything that was going to happen over the next 2 hours. Go ahead, Nikki.
She got the same vial that Q gave Sung the first time, and it didn't last very long. Are we supposed to believe that this vial is supposed to last longer?
Much like the COVID-19 vaccine, it works better on a booster.
Realistically, whatever Q gave her would work. What Q gave Adam was only going to work for like 5 minutes or whatever it was, because he needed more out of him, which I'm still not convinced that it made sense for whatever Q was trying to do with Adam Soong. What the Borg Queen is trying makes a little bit more sense, but none of it really makes sense. What do you think about Adam Soong, Nikki?
I think that they're making me mad at Brent Spiner.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be mad at Brent Spiner. I want to continue to love him.
Yeah.
But they're making me mad at him. And I also don't remember this history of the Soong dynasty having this Go ahead, Tom.
No. And it's funny. I've joked with Christian that there are 8 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise that are actually good television. And to the credit of whoever wrote this, they picked the lowest rated Star Trek series ever done on broadcast and managed to watch the living F out of that one, but somehow have missed Time Zero, a crucial episode.
Well, if I had to guess, people working on this show were probably like PAs or script coordinators on Enterprise, and they're excited. I think a lot of the names attached to this show are doing it for, oddly, their love of Star Trek. But to what you were saying, Nikki, this idea, I mean, this part of the Soong, hang on, this part of the Soong legacy only exists in that alternate timeline. I think that's really what the Borg Queen's talking about. So what should happen, and if this goes right, is that he's going to die. And by the way, the phrase the 90 proof vomit, tip of the hat to the person who wrote that. There's not a lot that impresses me about this show, but 90 proof vomit. Oh, I will be co-opting that at some point. So I think that they sort of cover their bases as you often need to for Star Trek fans, except for, as Tom points out, Time Zero. But they cover their bases by saying that this is the reason we don't know this Soong, because he had some of the same work and some of the same interests, but he never actually was able to make anything of himself. And I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Tom?
No, because I think it's in the Enterprise episode, there is basically a continuation or a prequel to the Khan story of genetically engineered super soldiers. And the creator of those super soldiers was one of Dr. Soong's ancestors.
Was it played by Brent? Was it played by Brent Spiner?
Yes, and he did very well. And the big end, yeah. So this is one where you guys are, where Enterprise, and it's a great episode. The concept is there are 12 unfrozen Khan eggs before, and remember, Enterprise takes place between the 21st century and the 23rd in the 22nd century. And so, like, basically, Noonien Soong's dad invented or was somehow involved in the frozen eggs of super soldiers. And that's where this is supposed to be related to. Now, the problem is now, how does that relate from 2024 to roughly 2154? I don't get it. And I was willing to forgive some of that. Like some of this is if you get into the age of overthinking Star Trek, which I'm letting go of. The original Star Trek line was that Khan and the awful wars of the eugenics wars happened in 1994. Right. That's when Khan launched off into space. Now, there are some people who will do revisionist history that say, oh, it happened somewhere around 1994 to today, whatever. But the big ending is that's what this is supposed to be related to, is that Data's ancestors were somehow involved in genetic manipulation of super soldiers related to the Khan Wars, the eugenics wars.
Okay, well, I'm willing to allow that, and look, I think that sometimes when you tell stories over 50, 70 years, you do need to do some revisions. I mean, like, just the example that it comes immediately to mind. Initially in the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards and Ben Grimm were in World War II together, but now that doesn't work anymore. So you have to, there's time, once you pass 1994 and we didn't have the eugenics war, which I know some people in our live chat are very disappointed that there was no eugenics war. And I'm sorry for those of you in the chat who were rooting for that, but I don't know. So Nikki, you're finding that you're disappointed. I mean, I didn't know that I could be more disappointed in Brent Spiner than I was in Independence Day, but I'm with you on this. I don't. He's not doing anything to the legacy of Data. He's doing something to the legacy of Brent Spiner.
Of Brent Spiner, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like. First of all, I don't even know what he's playing. Is he playing evil bad guy? Is he playing sad father? It's just it's just I don't get it. I just don't get it. Is the big thing. I don't get what's happening with this storyline, and I don't get what's happening this season.
It's really hard to get a read on the character. He's all over the map. You know, he's cool, he's calm, he's confident, he's dejected, and I mean, I guess that's what they're going for. But and his like hookup with some general and some elite ops group at the end, and I'm just like, I find that harder to believe than he waltzes his way into this fancy gala, you know, the spotlight episode of which I hope. By the way, watching we'll get to this, but the little boy being mind melded, attempted mind meld so that he could forget things. I was just like, where do I sign up for that? I would love to. I want to have all my cherished memories of friends and family, the birth of my kids. But if you could just go ahead and take Star Trek Picard, I will allow both seasons of Picard to just be taken out of my memory. That's fine. I'll just go into season 3 only remembering Next Generation. You could go ahead and take Nemesis out as well. And
I think season 2 was created just to show us how great season 1 really was.
Oh man!
I mean,
comparatively.
I didn't think that was possible, but you might not be wrong.
And I think he just had
Tom.
a line though that I want to just emphasize for a second. My whole feeling on the whole series now is I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't care. The big dilemma now is a problem we all saw coming 8 episodes ago. In fact, writers and Jean-Luc Picard saw it himself in Star Trek First Contact. Geez, oh my God, the Borg went back to the 21st century. That could really fuck shit up. You know what we're going to do? Let's bring one Borg back to the 21st century because, you know, we're too lazy to program the computer to go back in time the way Spock and Captain Kirk did. I mean, the line, they got Spock, half Vulcan, and you people can't figure this shit out? You invented robot. I mean, geez, Dr. Girardi, you invented sentient life.
At the very least, figure out a way to pluck Michael Burnham out of time. She was raised by Vulcans. Good enough. It's like you didn't just bring a Borg, you brought the Borg back. You know, you brought like the Zeus of the Borg to Borrow Freight. Yeah. And you're talking about Girardi. You're talking about the Borg Queen. A line that I could not believe was in this episode. This episode is called Mercy. And Seven makes the point that Mercy is not a trait of the Borg. It is a trait of Girardi. I say no. There is a reason we call her Crazy Murder Doctor.
Absolutely.
Because she's a goddamn murderer. There's no mercy. She killed her boyfriend. No. I think that maybe the Borg Queen isn't the worst person living in that head right now. Sorry, go. I got all worked up like Star Trek 6. Don't wait for the translation. Go ahead, Tom.
No, and all of our hopes and dreams of civilization surviving depend on the woman who may or may not have killed her own boyfriend last year. And just the little things of, okay, this woman went crazy during a Romulan mind meld because they can do that now. Are we going to leave her alone with the Borg Queen? It just the whole every fucking thing. They're not this dumb. Picard is not this dumb. The show is not that good. And honestly, I put up with season 1 of Star Trek Discovery because I enjoyed looking at the spaceship models. And Christian and I, in a off-camera conversation, Christian had a line yesterday pointing out that how lazy Star Trek Picard is. Nobody wants to wear their makeup anymore. Nobody wants to wear their little space uniforms. And nobody wants to go into the studio and film on sound stages. So let's just do it outside. All right, what location are we going to pick? We're going to go to San Francisco like they did in Star Trek 4? Nah, let's just do it outside our own houses. Like, honestly, this show is so low budget, we don't even have enough money for hotel rooms.
They spent so much time on location that I recognized the parking lot behind the Orpheum Theater in downtown LA because I've parked there, and I'm like, I know exactly where they are. They spent so much time in the episode. The scene was so not compelling that I was like, yeah, where is that? And then I see the bus go by. I'm like, I know where that is. The Nickel Diner is right over there. Love the Nickel Diner. You can get a bacon maple donut there. That is satisfaction. Star Trek Picard is not. satisfaction.
It's
Uh,
it's not compelling. And even now, I mean, for as much as you love the Q scene with the non Whoopi with Guinan,
yeah.
the premise of the show now is Q forced Picard to go back in time so he can deal with the issues in his head about his mommy issues. And the other thing that was confusing me then with the little boy walking around to find Scruffy, I thought that was young Picard again.
Well, I think
Yeah, so did
we
I.
were supposed to think that, and I actually think that that was kind of a nice reveal that it's like because we had the flashbacks to young Picard and we knew that there's more to his story. I was like, all right, you know what? That's not 90 proof vomit. That's not that level. But I was like, oh, that's an actual surprise. And look, I have to give participation trophies to the writers of this show when I feel like they at least do a serviceable job because of the amount of complaints that I have had throughout the course of this season.
I'd rather watch a Food Network show with Jonathan Frakes playing Will Riker making pizza.
Oh my god, I would love that show.
I think
As, lo-
that's what I
as
want at this
as
point.
long as he and Troy take the time to like tell us the ingredients and I
Yeah.
would absolutely.
So we can learn that brick oven pizza recipe.
Yeah, man, I hope
Yeah, let's
season 3 shows the return of the brick oven pizza. I think
I'm being real. I don't know. Like here we are on a cliffhanger, except that I will be teased with a potential Blackcast appearance. I'm in no rush to pick this up. Even with Discovery, I was in no rush to pick it up at a certain. I let Discovery go, and I think
yeah,
all of this and to use CNN Plus as the example here is, and with Netflix stock crashing this week, I think what you're seeing here is we are the real victims of the streaming wars. We, the Star Trek fans, is our friends at CBS/Paramount, whatever we call them this week. They said we have an intellectual property. We have a brand name that people will pay $8 a month for. And let's use this Star Trek thing. If we say we have Star Trek, people will be inclined to buy our service. CNN Plus, which just went under today, said, you know what? If we get this Fox News guy, and this guy, and say they're doing exclusive shows, people will pay for this. And I think what we're seeing is with all these streaming services is if you don't, it's one thing to have the brand name, but you also need something good behind it. And I think what you're seeing, the age of let's throw $1 million at a show, I don't care who watches it, is ending, and it's ending here with Picard.
Unless
well,
they're saving all that money for the last 2 episodes to have a lot of flash boom smash.
well,
There better be some
yeah, they
really good
gotta
stuff.
resolve the beginning of the series on that ship with the Borg Queen in the mask. That we've had the theory on this show that that's going to be Girardi under the mask, so it'll be something that we can deal with. But look, our friend Frank Moran, who we usually do the show with when it's not during the workday, he also gave up on Discovery, and Nikki and I have stuck with Discovery, and sometimes it feels like the old phrase to promote Alien was in space, no one can hear you scream. Well, sometimes Discovery reminds you that in space, no one can hear paint dry. But I think that the show is actually it's infinitely better than this show. The worst of Discovery is better than the best episode of Picard, Nikki, let's back me up on this for a second as the only other person I know who's stuck with Discovery.
I'm going to agree with you. The worst episode of Discovery is better than what we've been getting from Picard, but it's because we still have the inner hope, or however small it is, we still have this inner hope that Picard will give us what we want. And because we're not getting it, we're just disappointed week after week after week.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm getting out of Star Trek Picard is I do, but I'm it's diminishing every week. It's nice to see Patrick Stewart speak in a Picard-like cadence at times. That was the nice thing about the original season one was okay. He is in the vineyard where I expected him to be. Okay, he is making wine. All right, he got out of Starfleet. Fine. Uh, it felt like Star Trek at least last year, even with the Federation crumbling. It felt like Star Trek, at least with Discovery. There's a couple of new aliens, there's some strange new worlds, and it's great. I'll tell you one thing that I think Picard might be suffering from. Let's make it Kevin Feige, but there's some sort of big shot of Disney Plus who makes sure that the different Marvel shows plot lines don't do the same damn things. I know they're doing that with Star Wars, and that's a big problem of why The Mandalorian is why Boba Fett's best episodes were with The Mandalorian. They didn't want to go into the whole thing of Boba Fett still being a bounty hunter.
Sure.
So they picked the wrong guy to do a series with. If they didn't want to repeat, or they should have either made The Mandalorian Boba Fett.
By the way, if we tune into Picard next week and it's The Mandalorian for the whole episode, I'm not going to complain. And and then they wrap up like Picard in like the last 10 minutes of episode 10. It's fine. I think that they should just stick The Mandalorian in any show at this point when you're just like, we don't know what to do. What were you going to say, Tom?
But along those lines, I wouldn't object, frankly, if they did Star Trek Picard and it were Burnham suddenly for the whole hour in the 31st century.
Sure. Okay, but here's the real test because I know how you feel. What if it was Tilly for the whole hour?
Ooh.
Okay, and to your point, this show does not have a Tilly.
Yeah.
Raffi came close to it all of a sudden today, but bad writing. I actually don't mind Raffi being sobered up, but now suddenly...
that's fine. I agree. I thought that was... I just felt like that was a character trait that Michelle Hurd didn't pull off well, was that this idea that Raffi was a drunk. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the character's better this season, but it's so marginal. I mean, to go back to Discovery, it's a ship filled with people that I care about. And in this one, I care about Jean-Luc because, as we established in this episode, all humans are stuck in the past. And I think that that's basically them telling us, we know why you're watching this show. We're sorry. We can't do that for you. Tune into season 3. We'll be stuck in the past with you. It's going to be all your friends. Now, I still don't know who Brent Spiner's playing in that third season, though. What were you going to say, Tom?
No, Star Trek Picard, all humans are stuck in the past. It's a great theme and such a bad execution. So what? Because Picard needed therapy. Because Counselor Troy did not provide adequate therapy for Picard's mommy issues. Where we brought the Borg Queen back to the 21st century.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the problem, and let me know if you agree, Nikki. I think the problem with the show is early bad decision making. It's almost like when you tell a lie and you have to like stand by your lie for whatever reason, and then you have to tell like another series of lies to support the earlier lies. So like they made sort of bad decisions with the story, and then they're like at a point where they're like, well, fuck, we just got to finish this thing because this is not where we thought it was going to go. It's why you map out a whole season. It's why you break down the whole season. This is only 10 episodes. This should not have been hard. Terry Matalas did the TV version of 12 Monkeys, which was excellent. But this, apparently connecting these dots was too much. And it's not just him. He's just the guy who's,
Here's the other thing with modern television. And I don't think too many shows support a 12-episode arc anymore. Not everything. I mean, maybe I just am an old man, or maybe the through line can be a little bit smaller or more gentle, but I don't think everything needs to be a 12-episode.
I think that we've talked about this before with Discovery. It's having a number of episodes shouldn't matter if you figure out how to space out your story. I mean, The X-Files is the example I always use. They would have 24 episodes in a season. 6 to 8 of them would be exploring the overall theme, but you'd have plenty of good episodes along the way. So with Picard, you could do that. And I wish it wasn't that we weren't in this age of bingeable story long arcs. But back to my earlier point, Nikki, do you feel like it's just they made a couple of decisions and then they're like, I don't know, let's see if we can get our way out of this? Are they trying to write their way out of this mess?
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I think that's a really nice thing to guess,
Yeah.
to guess about. But I mean, I don't know what they're doing. It feels like, they wanted to give us a Star Trek Picard show, but really didn't have a plan about what that was going to be, or if they did, it's gotten lost in the process. And now it's just really messy and hard to connect with. And I feel like if they
Hard
had
to connect.
if they had given us more to connect with, more than just, Picard is back, but given us more of the old-fashioned next generation Star Trek that we wanted, they would have been able to, on our goodwill alone, go wherever they wanted to go. But they never gave us any of the stuff that we really wanted in the beginning. So now we're just kind of on this ride that's just meandering along, and we have no idea what's happening or why it's happening. I think Frank, when he was on, talked about, we still didn't understand Q's motivation. And even though we got a little more information in this episode, I still don't know what Q's after here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the to that point we did get a little bit, but this idea of what he says to Guinan is this notion that it's not the trap, it's the escape, and it's almost like he wants one last time. He wants the thrill, of all the like, we're getting together for one more heist. Well, he's getting together for one more time to put Picard in a situation and watch him be bested by Picard yet again. Have Picard figure out a way out. So to watch him escape, because well, I guess for some people watching Harry Houdini get tied up in chains and, dunked underwater, yeah, I guess part of that was the fun, but what you really wanted to see was when he came up out of the water and you were like, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. So maybe that's really what it is that Q wants to, whatever it is that the Q beings experience, the joy of being beaten by Picard. Because I mean, it's what, 35 years at this point, maybe a little more in the term of the story itself. Let's say 40 years he's known Picard. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket, but he's clearly made an impact on him. So yeah, we don't know where he's going, but I that's just what it made me think. That we could find out next week that it's not that at all. But what do you think about Tom? A little bit more of a reveal from what's going on with Q.
So I'm going to refer to classic Star Trek for a second and ignore this show because I'm kind of bored. I mean, it sounds awful, but I enjoy being with the two of you. But here we are spending an hour analyzing a show that's just not worth any of our times. Talking Star Trek, classic Star Trek for a minute. I enjoy the character of Q. I always liked giving Q a little more meaning than maybe the writers gave him back then, which was maybe Q was some sort of a figure that would come in, intentionally cause mischief on behalf of God or the Q continuum, whatever you wanted it to be. But at the end of that test of humanity, everybody was a better person. And frankly, that mischievousness, that caringness, quite frankly, the happiness and positivity of Next Generation Q. The comedy was missing. Like, I haven't laughed at Q. I love the back and forth between what I love the line Nikki used about new Guinan versus Whoopi Goldberg. What was it? The strength of the two characters or two
The
actors?
energy, matching the energy.
Matching energy. Yeah, I loved watching them match energy, and frankly, even the scenes of I don't need to see John Delancey interact with the B-list actors. You know, I enjoyed watching two great stage actors match energy on screen. That was the fun. And yeah, Q was fun, even with the exception of maybe the pilot where it was a little more evil and dark.
But man, did he have a nice hat.
Yeah. Yeah, outside of the pilot, there was...
Yeah, it's a different character in the pilot, mostly because that's got Gene Roddenberry stink all over it, you know, and the rest of it doesn't. Yeah.
My favorite line at the end of All Good Things, the Next Generation finale, was the continuum put you in this mess, but the helping hand was my idea. And if you work backwards on all that, like where Q helped Picard get out of the trap, get out of the escape of a trap of you know, whatever. And I actually, if you really want to overanalyze All Good Things, that was a BS sci-fi plot too, but there was a warmth and a trueness to the characters. Like, actually, I've been wanting all day to celebrate this one thought to you. What made, pick your worst Star Trek movie. It was true to the
Star Trek V.
Yeah, say what you want. It was at the end of the day, Star Trek V is better than Picard because at the end of the day, it was about the friendship. It was badly written, blah blah blah, but it was about the friendship of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and Kirk's fear of dying alone. It was true to the character.
It's true to the characters. Yeah, I mean, there's the plot of that movie, and then, you know, just jokes that fell flat. There's a reason it's the only movie Shatner's ever directed. But I know what you're saying, and that's kind of the point was that I made about Discovery. And I mean, they have really not done much to make me care a lot about these characters. As Nikki knows, I tend to have not traditionally been a fan of Q, but I disliked season 1 so much that I embraced his appearance in this. And I don't want any more scenes of him and Patrick Stewart if he's going to slap him again. And I think Nikki, you can
that's
back me up
elder
on that.
abuse.
I don't want to see that. Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
And using the Raffi line for a second, when you talk about how fucking convoluted this is, Raffi was upset that Eleanor stuck with Starfleet, and that got him killed. No, it was Q and this time bending thing that got Eleanor killed, and we're going to call him Eleanor from here on in.
Call him Mrs. Roosevelt. Yeah, but I think that's just them. Yeah, they're just trying to make me care about Raffi, and it's not working. But Nikki, I want you to really give us your thoughts on talking about bad characters I don't care about. I referenced the X-Files earlier, but the dime store Fox Mulder that we got in the way of this FBI agent, who not only don't I remember his name, I was scouring summaries. I can't find this character's name. Now, granted, I don't care, but I still tried. I don't know what that character's name was. I thought that the flashback to the interaction with the Vulcans was at least interesting on some level. But Nikki, your thoughts on this FBI agent who, you know, it was a big cliffhanger last week. Hey, I'm law enforcement, nondescript law enforcement. Come with me.
99-cent store, Fox Mulder. Yes. He was definitely it. I don't even have a thing to say about it. Honestly, it was just like, there's nothing to say about it, Christian. There's nothing to say about it. It was like, hey, what else can we do? What else do the people who watch this kind of stuff like? Maybe they like maybe an FBI agent who's kind of like Fox Mulder will make them happy.
Nikki, do you think there's a chance that when we
hang on, Nikki's full of gems saying?
I don't know what you said
I'm sorry, I'm
because it
delayed or
broke
I'm
up.
chewing up.
Yeah, that's but I'm just wondering, Nikki, if when we review episode 9, it might just be me, you, and Frank just sort of staring into the camera, like,
but
but,
I just
and then we just throw our hands up and we review City on the Edge of Forever. You know, we're just like, forget it. And I'd be like, you know what, Nikki, why don't you, why don't we finally watch the Enterprise series finale, which Nikki has not seen, Tom. We'll just watch it with you, and that'll be it. You know,
Enterprise season finale is better than 80% of the crap that we have seen in Star Trek Picard this year. Actually, I would say it's better than 95%.
disagree with that. Yeah.
Of that.
This is funny from Dominicus Saxon, our friend. I haven't seen this episode yet, but not worried about spoilers. Series is already past expiration date. Yeah, it had a sell by date on it, and I think that date was 2005.
You know
Or
what?
2024.
I really wish that, like, if anybody from the Star Trek universe is watching our little show today, what I really want them to know is we really wanted to like this.
Yes.
We really, really wanted to. We still want to like it. Just give us something to hold on to, because we're not being critical just to be critical. We're critical because we care. We really care about the show. We care about Star Trek.
I have a theory. If there's anybody watching, I have a way to save the show. Okay. We get to a point where crazy Borg things happen, whatever. They flash forward to the opening scene, and then Picard doesn't blow up the ship. Q doesn't snap his fingers, and the whole season never happened.
Well, now you're going back to the metaphor that I've used multiple times on this show, which is the fact that the series ends with a scene where Patrick Duffy steps out of the shower and you realize that the entire season had only been a dream. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I don't like having my time wasted and being told that what I just watched didn't really happen. It was something, it was an exercise in somebody's head. I think that movie, The Devil's Advocate, did that, and I was just like, well, then why did I watch it? But that would be fine. If this is struck entirely from the canon, that's fine. I'll be able to shrug off the fact that I watched through it, and then they leave us with another cliffhanger where it's like I said, who is on the other end of that phone that gives Dr. Soong, disgraced by Leah Thompson only a few episodes ago, and is like, yeah, what do you need in the way of like a Black Ops? You need SEAL Team 6. Yeah, I'll get them for you. Don't worry about it. Hey, what are we here for? It'll just sting for a little bit. That's really the motto of this show is like that.
I'm going to be honest,
that's a freeze frame.
I find that scene that you were just complaining about more believable than most of the show.
I mean, yeah, but you tack it on the end of a show that's just... And by the way, I've had exchanges with 2 people on Twitter that they kept saying, like, stop trying to ruin this show for me. I'm really enjoying it. And I would say, just wait, it's going to get worse. And then they would see it and they're like, no, I'm still enjoying it. I'm like, I to what you were saying, Nikki, I would love to love this. I want to love everything that I watch. I don't ever want to watch something and have a negative reaction because I've wasted my time. And I'm definitely wasting my time on this show. But I still care about Jean-Luc. I want to see what he's up to. And now it's like, well, I need to see how they get out of this. I want to be excited for season 3. I don't want to have the lingering feeling of any of this. And I think a lot of people feel the way we do. And that's why I think it's important to do a show like this. Don't just do the show when you love it. One of the easiest things I did in the old days at AfterBuzz was we talked about The Mandalorian. You know why? Everybody loved the fucking Mandalorian. Oh my God, Baby Yoda. Oh my God, especially the first season. It was like, we love this. Yeah, we all love it. Do you love it? Yeah. Do you love it more than me? I don't know. I might. but it's like, no, this that you need a place to go to talk about something like this. I should watch that Will Wheaton Ready Room and see what he's saying about this show, because if he has any unkind words about it, that's why he's not in season 3.
I'm surprised that Will Wheaton hasn't gotten a job on air from it.
I mean,
like, that's the only way. Like, you know what I'd love to see? The only way, actually, here's where Star Trek Picard could get better or worse. That you suddenly, when the Borg mask opens up and you see who else is on the spaceship, and it is Girardi, Neelix, and Jake Sisko.
our friend Jason Blair went to UCLA with Jake Sisko, Sirach Lofton, so he's a big
fan. Listen, if they cut out a third of him being a journalist in the war, and you're right, I guess when you get into all of this, yeah, I mean, it was I enjoyed the first seasons of it, and I enjoyed 1 or 2 episodes of him being a journalist, but at the end it was kind of like, okay, this guy aged out and we can't kill him off. We can't send him to go with the Traveler too.
Because we don't really, and don't worry, dear audience, we'll wrap this up soon. But Nikki, because we're not even really talking about the show anymore, let's go ahead and rank these Star Trek characters: Neelix, Jake Sisko, and Nog.
I like Nog, but Nog was another one.
No, Nog was annoying.
Yeah,
Nog was annoying.
Quark's brother was more annoying. I forget his name, but I never really liked him. I liked Quark, but I think every other Ferengi I felt was one note, except like Quark had all those qualities, but they had to make him a richer character to have him on every week. But go ahead.
Quark, because Quark stayed in his lane. Yeah, hang on, I'll go a step. I'm going to just add one thing. With Nog, what I also hated about this thing was they kept making all these cadets. This is something that started on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
suddenly you can be a cadet and get a job of a 45-year-old on a starship or a space station. Like, Cadet Tilly had a grown-up job on Discovery. Cadet
but
Nog was on the front lines. And now Cadet Uhura is coming in Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Wasn't Wesley Crusher the first cadet who was put on the bridge as opposed to a grown-up? All right, he's an acting ensign, yeah. I mean,
now in the Wesley Crusher case, you could say, all right, it's just one child prodigy.
I mean,
that's suddenly
depending on if our friend Mark Hunt is watching our show, he'll be the one that understands this. It's an archetype because you want kids to watch your show. You go back to 70s Tom Baker Doctor Who. There's a character named Adric. He's a kid that's basically flies around space with the Doctor because you need somebody for kids to relate to. I think that's why Wesley was there, but no kid related to Nog. So I go back to my question to you, Nikki. Who are you putting in the number 1 position of Jake Sisko, Nog, or Neelix? I think those were the 3 I said.
Number 1 in terms of how annoying they are, or in terms of how much I like them?
How about how much you like them? Yeah, and we'll go likability in descending order. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Neelix, Jake, Nog.
I got Jake, Nog, Neelix. So you see, and I know Tom would just put Tilly in front of all of them, and we don't Tilly bash on this network.
My favorite episode of Deep Space Nine is a Jake Sisko episode, but it wasn't Sirach Lofton. It was Tony Todd playing old Jake Sisko.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I don't remember the episode titles and such, but yeah.
I forget too, but it's a concept of it's a real father-son love story. It's a beautiful story.
Well, speaking of beautiful stories, Nikki, what do you think the odds are that a week from tomorrow, when you, Frank, and I are talking about Picard episode 9, that we're going to be so impressed and blown away by just the about face they've done and how improved they'll have been? And wow, I'm so excited for the season finale. They have really won me over. What do you think? What do you think the probability of that is?
I think there's 0 probability. However, the optimist that I will remain when it comes to Star Trek is in me, and is saying they saved all their money for the last 2 episodes. they're going to give us something good. That's what I'm trying to believe.
Yeah. So Tom, you'll obviously be out here working, and that's why we're glad you were able to pop in this
Yeah.
afternoon, but not appearing on our Picard show. How long do you think it would be before you finish this season, or ever?
I'll watch it because I like being in. It's your friendship. I mean, it sounds stupid, but honestly, if I were living a happier life, if I had more friends, I probably wouldn't watch it ever again. But frankly, you're all I got, man. So yeah, that's about it. Frankly, it's your Zoom friendship. And honestly, if it wasn't for Picard, I don't know what else we really have in common outside of old times and not be.
We
We're good friends.
we would text about like SNL, or sadly comedians passing away, just so we would always have
Yeah, I
something.
mean,
But
that's what I'm doing.
but
I'm
I,
waiting
I
for
think
dead
you're right. I
celebrities.
think Star Trek I think dominates a lot of it. I was thinking, you're talking sort of, it's like, yeah, well, as friends we have this to talk about. Nikki, do you watch this show with your partner as well? Because I'm wondering, is she able to sit through this, or is it really just you?
I watch it with her usually,
Yeah.
and she does not have as strong a negative reaction to it that I do. She's able to sort of take it at face value, and not. But I also don't know that. No, she is a Star Trek fan the way I am. She just it doesn't hurt her the way it hurts me.
Yeah.
She can watch it
But it
and
does.
let go of it.
I'm I'm jealous. I wish I could have those feelings. I feel hurt by it. I feel hurt by it. I feel insulted by it. Just everything.
If
And
I could just again, I don't
yeah,
know. I think my whole point of being on this podcast is to just underline things Nikki has said that resonate with me today. And the other one is, yeah, the show hurts me.
it does.
It hurts me.
By the way, Dominicus
Just
Saxon is watching Picard just to chime in on our podcast, and in order to get to season 3 in that order. So he puts us first. Well, we will be back next Friday in what is our normal time slot of 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. And Frank will be back. Flobo will be on assignment the rest of the time. That lucky bastard doesn't have to actually watch this show. But look, I look, if it ends in any way that is remotely satisfying, I will tell everyone. I will tell all of you. I'm hopeful for that. And before
but
we,
I mean, but yeah, I mean, I hope the haters are here with us. But I just
yeah,
love that we did a hour on a show that is not remotely satisfying, as you just put it.
yeah. I want to give credit to somebody who commented on our last episode, our season 7 episode, which you can see on the screen. Michael Strathmore. So he commented in real time, and I just want to show you. I want to respond to all of these, but as I'm
Wow.
scrolling, he had so many thoughts, and then he has a part 2 that follows. And I love the fact that he had so much to say about this show. And that's because we care so much about Star Trek.
Yeah.
He gets to, we're 78. And look what, so I want to highlight the end. And this was last week. 78 credits finally roll on what might be the worst single episode of the worst Star Trek show ever made. And then he echoes my statement last week. I hate this show. If you like it, it's great. I think Star Trek fans deserve better than this garbage. I absolutely feel that way. And then he mentions that he's a Blue Jays fan. So that's
Do better,
like one of the
Karen.
that's one of the 2 best teams in the American League East. So good for him. But yeah, and and I really do want to like write back to him and really comment. It's so much, and it was too much. Like even we would do like another 2 hours of this show if I went through all of them. So I love that he's so passionate, but I think that represents the way we all feel. Maybe we don't all have 78 comments in us about it, but we all have that disappointment, I think, about that show. And the
I
people
have
who
the
are able to
78
enjoy
comments
it,
in me. I get that, man.
very, Very jealous. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. This guy is us. He's from the same
Yeah.
mold as all of us. Well, I hope he's got 78 comments on this episode, because I'm sure if I was more disciplined, I would have as well. Tom, apart from suffering through Star Trek Picard, where can people find you?
You can find me at TomKellyShow.com. I have a great podcast there where I talk about improving myself, and it's kind of like a comic therapy, which I feel like you're all going to need if you're actually getting into the season finale.
And Tom's podcast is great. It's a little bite-sized podcast, not like the ones I do. It's about 20 minutes. And Tom, your podcast is exceptionally good this week because of a guest.
You're
that
on
appears
it.
on it.
Yeah,
I
you're
am.
on it, actually, and you're getting fan mail, which is kind of funny too.
Oh, well, I can't wait to hear about that. And Tom's going to get tricked into being on the Blackcast proper while he's out here in town. But yeah, TomKellyShow.com. And Nikki, I'm sure people want to commiserate with you as well. How do they find you?
You can find me at NikkiBaileyComedy.com or on all the social medias at NikkiBailey_.
And as always, I'm at Christian DMZ. And please subscribe to the Blackcast YouTube channel. You'll get this show, and you will also get the titular Blackcast in our show, Marvel Movie Talk, which largely is acting as a Moon Knight after show at the moment. So if you're watching Moon Knight, please find our show. Subscribe. You'll get all of it. And, you know, Moon Knight is so much more watchable than this. You know, that's it's hard to find something less watchable. But that's all the time we have for now, and then some. So as always, we wish you a joyous, live long,